Welcome back. This is From Seed to Pantry. In our last episode, we started our seedlings for the upcoming growing season. In this episode, we're going to go to the next step of the process. We'll be checking in our seedlings and transplanting some of our seedlings into larger pots. Let's get growing. So before we can transplant our seedlings into our new pots, we need to clean and sanitize them. So if you're reusing pots from last year like I am, you need to clean and sanitize them. Otherwise you could spread mold, bacteria, and fungus from the soil that was in there previous into your new seedlings and potentially either stunt their growth or potentially kill the seedlings. If you're using new pots, you can skip this step. That's fine. So the first thing you want to do is you want to clean out all this dirt and debris that you see in here. So get all that out. Take a scrub brush or some paper towel. Get the majority of that out of there. Next, you want to take this pot and you want to soak it in hot, soapy water. I usually use like Dawn dish soap or something like that, something that'll help remove the dirt and debris in there. And I'll let them soak for 5-10 minutes in the hot, soapy water. Then I'll take a soft scrub brush, scrub inside there, make sure I get all that dirt and debris out of there, and then drain that out. And you want to rinse your pots out really well after you do this, get any of the soap out of there. The next part you want to do is you want to sanitize them. So this is what's actually going to kill any bacteria, mold, or fungi that is still residually on the pot. So you want to do a ratio of 1 part bleach to 9 parts water. So if you're using 10 gallons, you want 1 gallon of bleach for every 9 gallons of water. Put your pots in this solution, let them sit for 10-15 minutes. Once that's done, drain out the water, and then you want to rinse them thoroughly to get any of the residual bleach off of these pots. Then you want to let these dry completely. You can let them air dry. If it's warm, you can set them outside in the sun and let them dry. But you want to make sure there's no moisture left in there, and that will prevent any mold from growing in there before you transplant your pots. So make sure they're completely dry, and then you can start the transplant process, which we'll go over next. So let's take a look at our seedlings and how the progress of these are doing. So we got some lettuce here that's almost ready to go. And then we definitely have this one big lettuce plant back here that's outgrowing itself. It's ready. And we got some broccoli here that's not quite ready yet. There's a few marigolds that are ready. And then all these celery up here, they're not ready yet, but they need to be thinned out. So we're going to do the celery first. We're going to thin those out. So what we're looking at here, we'll zoom in a little bit on here. So as you can see, these have multiple cells, multiple seedlings in each of the cells. So what we want to do is thin these out so there's only about 2 seedlings per cell. So we're going to kind of take a look at here, look to see what our best ones are in here. And then we're going to pluck out the rest of them. And just kind of pinch them, pull them out, so that we only have maximum 2. So this one has 2. We can leave that one. Get on here. This one's got 4 of them, so we're going to pluck out these 2 weaker ones. So just literally just go in there and kind of pinch off the small ones that are left in there. So you got 2 per cell. So we got 2 seedlings there. This one's got 3 of them, so we'll take this weakest one out of here, pluck it out, and that just gives the other seedlings a better chance to grow. And we'll continue that with the rest of these. So how do you know when it's time to transplant seedlings? So one of the things you want to look for is you want to make sure that your seedlings have 2 sets of true leaves. So you can see here initially These little leaves that are coming off here, those are not the true leaves. These bigger leaves here, one here and there, and these two bottom here, those are considered true leaves. So you want to make sure you have at least 2 sets of those. The other thing you want to look for is the root systems here. So you want to kind of look at the bottom here, kind of look at the roots. And if you start to see the roots start to stick out, then you know it's time for them to be transplanted. So the process for this is you're going to take one of the pots here that you're going to transplant it in. And you're going to fill it about 1/3 of the way to halfway full of soil. You want to make sure this soil is moist but not soggy. So you got about 1/3 to halfway full. Then you're going to take your seedling. You're going to pop it out of its cell. Pull that seedling out. And then you're going to place it into the center of the pod. I like to remove some of the dirt that's near the leaves here when I do this, just to kind of get the dirt away from the actual lettuce leaves in this case. And then you're going to pack the soil around carefully so you don't damage any of the roots or the stem itself. You carefully go around this, and you want to compress them down. So you want to make sure you don't have any air gaps in your soil when you do this. That way, when you water it, all the water is getting into the roots and not just flushing away soil. So there, as you can see, seedlings in there, and it's packed pretty tight with dirt. And then I like to add some earthworm castings to the soil. It just gives us a little bit of nutrients. You don't have to add much, just a handful. Just kind of put it in there. This is all natural fertilizer that comes from earthworms. You can, if you have a local worm farm nearby, you can get them there. Most nurseries carry them. Just put a sprinkling on there and then just kind of water it in. Just a little bit of water on it, not much. Just enough to get it wet so that the earthworm castings can soak into the soil. Okay, let's talk about splitting plants now. So, as you see here, I have several different plants I'm going to transplant, and I have this one here that has 2 different cells in it, 2 different plants. So I'm going to take this one here and I'm going to split it into 2 different seedlings. So I filled my transplant pot about halfway full, and I'm going to carefully remove this plant from its cell. Okay. So as you see, I have the 2 plants right here. I'm going to kind of knock off some of this excess soil, and then I'm going to locate the 2 different stems here, and I'm going to carefully split these. Okay. So now I have the 2 different plants separated, and I'm going to carefully put them in their cells. And then I'm going to pack dirt around them. Some dirt. Being careful not to damage the stems as I do this. And making sure that they're above the dirt and not get buried in the dirt themselves. And then I'm going to press down in each of the cells to make sure that there's no air gaps in here. A little bit more soil in here. And as you see, I successfully split this one into 2 cells. Okay, so here's all the seedlings that I've transplanted so far. So I got my marigolds, I got lettuce back here, and then I got broccoli in here. So one thing that was very helpful once you transplant your seedlings is get them under a fan. As you see, I got a little clip-on fan here that I clipped onto the side. What this does is this is going to help remove any of the surface moisture that may get onto the actual surface of your soil, and it'll prevent the mildew and mold from growing on the surface there. And it also kind of acts like the plants are blowing in the wind, and it'll actually help strengthen their stems. So when you take them outside, they've already been kind of used to the wind been blowing on them. They'll have stronger cells, stronger stems, and you'll have better luck with the transplants. What we want to talk about after we transplant our seedlings is a thing called transplant shock. So sometimes when you transplant seedlings, especially if you split them, you're disturbing the roots and you're putting them in different conditions that they were growing in. Sometimes a day or two after you transplant them, you'll get something called transplant shock. So what you'll see in this is you'll see like leaves curling, or you see that the plant kind of goes a little bit limp. This is normal. Don't freak out about it. Give it a few days. Don't do anything special to it. It should recover. Occasionally you do lose a couple of seedlings during transplant shock. It's part of the process. Just don't want you to freak out about that. So if you see the leaves curling or the plant acting a little bit limp a day or two after you transplant it, this is normal, and it should correct itself once it gets adjusted to its new conditions. And there you have it. Transplanting your plants will allow the roots to grow bigger and the plants to grow larger, give you greater success when planting them outside. On the next episode of From Seed to Pantry, we're going to be talking about hardening off your seedlings prior to planting them outside. If you found this video useful, please like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, happy gardening.